the early Van Halen records is when you talk about the Oratone and just the approach to it sonically, is that they're re-releasing, right? They is Mobile Fidelity, it's a boutique record label that takes albums and typically previously released, endeavored starting last year with remastering the Van Halen catalog, starting with the first album, and like every few months or whatever they do the next album, and I think they're up to Fair Warning right now.
It's not they. I'm doing it.
Oh, well, okay. Well, why didn't you tell us?
I'm saying when I'm doing it, that's like the guy says, yes, my movie, and I wrote all the songs. No, I'm involved with it, and I was fortunate enough to have Don involved with it.
Oh, nice.
And really, it's important to have as many of the original people involved as the original project. And Don's been, I don't know what the word is, but he's very meticulous, so I feel the project is in good hands. They're the ones who did it. And you're 9 steps ahead of the game if you get the original guys, provided they're not deaf by now, or never mind.
Yeah.
Everybody ages, right?
That's right. Yeah. What did you just say?
But again, it's like anything else. It's the experience. You're experiencing this thing, and the process itself is just, it's been very interesting. So, and we're honing in on the first era of the band. We started off kind of in a diminishing ratio, start number 25, 24, 23, etc. And then the winner will be number 1. And it's been a great process. And the only thing I can say is because Ed and I put our heart and soul into that thing, into those recordings, there are times when we cringe, we go, man, we could have fixed that and we should have fixed it. But Ed was very much a purist, if you will. Like on Eruption, he made a couple technical mistakes, and Don wanted to fix it. They goes, no, leave it.
Man,
which I thought it was brilliant because you never relive that moment.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And there were other moments on those records, but in hindsight, I'm going to quote something from Dave, which is I call it wabi sabi or something. It means the imperfections are what make it what it is. And so we left all the imperfections on the records. That's the idea of you're never really ready for anything. 9 out of 10, if you're prepared well enough, something good will come out. If you're not prepared, well, that's the 1 out of 10 that didn't make it. But because we all like to be perfect, I could have done that better. I could have done this. No, it is what it is. And that's ultimately the philosophy of how we approach making records. We were recorded while we were playing. We weren't playing to be recorded.
Yeah.
One is making a record, the other one is being recorded, and it ends up being a record.
Yeah.
And that's where the liveness, and it may be a philosophical hair-splitting thing that I'm talking about, but it's very much how we approach making records and music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Interesting is the fact that we came at a time when all these techniques and technologies were in transition.
That's right. Yes.
If I ever see, what's his name? The guitar guy who invented the multi-track. I'll have a word with him.
Les Paul.
Les Paul, yeah. Because that really put a whole different aura about how to record music.
Yeah, there was a lot of chemistry going on and a lot of creativity.
They were integral, even though we did not agree on everything. They were integral. I mean, Ed and I were many nights we would go down to Ted's house and we would discuss certain things, not behind the other guy's band, but just for him to get a clearer understanding of what we were looking for, if you will. He'll say he made concessions too, right? So there was a mixing of all the different philosophies and techniques, if you will. And of course, Ted had the amazing talent of hearing the melodic structure and what would make a hit. Because if the record doesn't sell very well, you probably won't make another record. You can have the best music in the world, but if nobody hears it, that's it. So you're forced to to work. You put your feet in 2 worlds. And you always make concessions. Now, if you ask Ted, he'll say he made concessions too, right? Well, I got news for you, Ted. It's our band.
Right. Like it sounds as hi-fi as you can imagine. Great job.
When I said that we weren't happy with the sound on the record, I'm not talking about the quality of the recording, because that was immaculate. Don was a genius at that. I'm talking about whether the snare drum sounds like my drum or whether it sounds like something that's got a gaffer tape on it to the point where you can't recognize it anymore. Those are two separate things.
Right. Totally.
Don was truly one of the brilliant engineers of that era, and he still can do it. That's why he's involved with all this.
Wow.
I wouldn't have done it without him.
Yeah, amazing. I'm so glad you did, because I was blown away. I'm a student of these recordings, and so they're, Mobile Fidelity does records, Carole King to the Beatles to whatever. I mean, it's all over the map. They've done these, and some of them they sound better, but they're not. It's like a little improvement, and a lot of that has to do with who is remastering it, who oversaw, where did those tapes really come from? Like, I know some of the guys involved in some of these processes, and they'll say, well, yeah, it's better, but we could only find the third generation copy. So it's not Mobile Fidelity's fault. It's just like, that's the best copy anybody can find. But when you get back to guys like Don and Al who are making the record, you find... You know not to stop, like, oh, I know we had a first generation of this, and you just keep going and going until you get it, and then boom, then that's what turns out.
It was important to get the old crew, because they're the ones who did it. And you're 9 steps ahead of the game if you get the original guys, provided they're not deaf by now, or never mind.
Yeah.
Everybody ages, right?
That's right. What did you just say?
But again, it's like anything else. It's the experience. You're experiencing this thing, and the process itself is just it's very interesting. So, and we're honing in on the first era of the band.
Yeah,
it's like sharpening a knife until it's dull. You can't try to make it more perfect. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, you're chasing your own tail, trying to get perfection. It's like that's not what our music's all about. Like that heavy rock and driving force. There's going to be a few slips here and there, and you got to, it's gone. It's in the past. Now you can go chase it and go. There's certain things that we do again. I've overdubbed drum parts, and we always recorded the whole lot. And Bruce would be in his little box, and he'd sing. And 9 times out of 10 in the past, Steve would do his bass again, put new bass strings on, and go in and do his bass.
Get the rundown, and that's the first thing they play. It's just like, oh my God! So how did you come up with that?
Ted wanted us to have the beginning of that song in sort of a Latin motif, and he says, "Why don't you do something like?" And I'm going, like what? Right on the spot. He goes, do something like it came from a Rolling Stones song.
Honky Tonk Woman. Yeah,
Honky Tonk Woman.
Honky Tonk Woman. That's right. So as I'm sitting there, and he's staring down my throat, and I'm already pissed off at him. The drums don't sound the way I like. And then he says, "Do it now." And I said, "Okay," and that's what came out. I sat down, and boom, and that was it. It actually the rhythmic scheme of that song, if you will, was actually from something that Ed and my dad and I used to work at the clubs. We tried to blend everything and make it fit into a certain kind of a contextual way. It really speaks to the idea of you're never really ready for anything. You're never really ready for anything.